SUPERB stands for Systemic Solutions for the Urgent Upscaling of Forest Ecosystem Restoration across Europe. SUPERB is a large project that is funded by the European Commission, and it was intended to support the European Commission in fulfilling the Green Deal goals for Europe. The pressures on forest ecosystems are really diverse. Overexploitation or overuse of forest has led to forest fragmentation, also impacting the soil. We see more frequent and severe storms, ice breakages, forest fires. And on top of this, you have climate change with weather extremes, overall increasing temperatures, and you have the invasive alien species, pests and pathogens, which impact the native flora and fauna. In the project, we really try to gather all the existing practical knowledge, and we also do scientific research in very important disciplines like forest ecology, forest management, forest monitoring, economics, soil sciences, stakeholder analysis. We have 12 demos across Europe, which really showcase the breadth of different solutions to the diverse range of pressures that forest ecosystems face.
Within SUPERB, we are focusing on restoration. Restoration means that next to restoration, you also take into consideration adaptation. It's not about going back to a previous state of the forest, but really taking into account the changes that will happen in the future.
To include adaptation in forest restoration really requires that we think quite open-mindedly about including different tree species, different provenances, so not have a fixed endpoint in mind.
One good example of where restoration is employed in SUPERB is the German case in North Rhine-Westphalia, where they have a huge problem with the bark beetle and where all the spruce is dying. Now they are focusing on getting more mixtures, for example a combination of beech and oak, to make the forest more resilient for climate change.
It is important to think what we want from future ecosystems in terms of ecosystem services for society and how we can develop the current ecosystems into a condition that is resilient and adaptable and provides us with this habitat for the wide diversity of animals and plants that live in our forests.
Upscaling is about taking the learning and the insights that all of this amazing work that SUPERB is doing and making sure that it has an impact beyond the boundary of the project and also that it continues after the project. What we're aiming to do is to work through people, establishing communities and getting people to connect with each other, a platform where we give the information and make it easily accessible to people. It's what we call gateway, and through planning. So helping people to think right at the start how they can ensure that the work that they do has the widest and the longest term possible impact.
In the Dutch demo, we are involving stakeholders in the early phase. The forest land is owned by several small-scale forest owners who really need to be involved in the process because they want to know what's happening in their forest. What they did here to improve the poor sandy soil is they flew around with a helicopter to spread rock dust across the forest. And besides that, they also planted rich litter species. Rich litter species has leaves that decompose better and can get extra nutrients in the forest soil.
It's a very nice example here next to me, a tilia planted in a pine monoculture. This tilia on the long term has very high quality litter and thereby will counteract the soil acidification that's going on in this soil.
We talk with the practitioners, talk with the local stakeholders and gather their practical experience. So we really try to include as much as possible all the knowledge that is out there.
Part of what we are delivering from SUPERB is the Forest Knowledge Gateway.
It's a way in to all of the information and the learning that we've accrued through SUPERB and sometimes elsewhere as well, and presenting it in a way that is accessible to a range of different user types, be they forest owners, practitioners, policymakers, or even financiers who might be interested in investing in forest restoration. There's going to be a whole range of different materials of all sorts of different types. For example, we have some modelling tools, all sorts of good practice guides. We have a large number of decision support tools. One of the things that will be accessed through the gateway is what we call the marketplace. The purpose of the marketplace is to improve connections between people who are doing forest restoration and investors or funders who are looking to engage in projects which improve the ecosystem function of forests and woodlands.
Forest degradation is not so exciting, but restoration is. And I think it's very important to contribute to the restoration of our ecosystems.
This won't happen unless others are involved. We will make that easy for those people out in the field or in policy rooms or working with banks and investors to find a way in to this very, very important subject.
All these different experts, with all their different backgrounds, being from the science, being from the practice, really bring all their different viewpoints, ambitions, and we really feel that together we can bring about a great change.